Hi guys, it's Bunny with Jackrabbit Productions. I'm going to be wearing the same clothes in a few videos because I'm making them all in one day. That way I can schedule them and have a pretty good schedule rather than waiting months on end before making another video. Anyway, so this first video is going to be talking about one of my stories because this is kind of where I wanted to start out originally. I wanted to make this channel so I could talk about stupid stories and things like that. Anyway, so this story, the title is still a work in progress. It's kind of just, I kind of just named it on a whim. So right now it's called Deathwish. We're gonna see if that changes. Sorry if I'm looking over here, I have notes so I don't get off topic. Anyway, so this is kind of like your average superhero story kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know how to describe that properly. So, the whole premise of the story is you have the main character, whose name is Ockley. Hopefully there'll be a picture here. If not, then I haven't figured out my editing. Cool. His name is Ockley. There's actually a funny story behind his name that I kind of want to share real quick. So, his name, I believe, is Arabic. And I have been informed by someone that is Arabic that Ockley is not a name. It's an adjective, I think they said, but it means like the mind or something like that. So Ockley is stuck with a weird adjective name. So that's cool. Anyway, he, being the main character, is the main focus of the first one. This story is going to be cut up into a few different books, which if I open my thing here, I have just, I don't know if you can be sponsored by this thing, I don't know, but there's an application that I use called Loreforge, which as far as I know is completely free, and I use it to write everything. I even have my stories on here, which is pretty cool. Anyway, back to the topic on hand. Okay, so it's going to be cut into a few different stories. There's going to be one that's focused mainly on Ockley, one that's focused on Kura, whose name I might be mispronouncing and I have to learn how to properly pronounce if I am. One focused on Spade, one on, I believe, Nessie. I think. I have a bunch of different ones. I have them all written down, but I'm still thinking of their order and how many there's going to be. And then there's one that's just going to be called The Two Sisters because it's focused on one character that will not be revealed until at least Kura's, and then one character that's pretty important to the plot named Calypso. I don't want to get too into it because if I do turn this into a story, I don't want it to be like a big spoiler. So, anyway. Ockley is the main character of the first story. He's gonna be pretty much the main focus of a lot of them. And a main theme you'll notice in my stories that have a lot of characters that are based off of my best friend. I have a best friend that I've had since like middle school, and he helped me make this specific character and a lot of other characters, and a lot of them hold a resemblance to him. So that's fun. But he is kind of like this. His power is called empathy. And you need to know this to know how he is. His empathy pretty much means he can feel the emotional and physical pain of people around him. He kind of has a radius of people that he can feel, which is really bad when he goes near a hospital. It can be a very overwhelming experience, but due to this, he's very empathetic towards other people. He's very open to talk to other people, very willing to listen, and very willing to be like, okay, bad guy, cool, but there's pain here. What's going on? Kind of thing. He's very open to figure out the bigger thing that's going on. I don't know how to articulate it. I'm trying to articulate. I'm not good at articulating it. Okay. So, a bit about him. He's got a pretty low self-esteem starting out. He doesn't show it. He puts on this sort of silly, goofy, jokey sort of dude attitude. But in reality, his self-esteem is fairly low. It doesn't really help that he's had, he's got a big scar on his face, so that doesn't really help a lot. But as he is a very low self-esteem, doesn't fully believe in himself kind of person. However, he ends up being one of the best characters, I think. I need to work on him more. I've put most of my work into Kura and Spade, which I need to work on not doing. Ockley needs a lot more attention. He's pretty much the one that drives everything forward. He's the one that starts trying to get Kura to be a good guy. He's the one that helps Spade in their situation. He's the one that helps his own mother, Calypso, in her situation, which we're gonna get into their relationships and stuff later. I have a whole chart. I wonder if I can take a picture of that and just insert it. If I can, it'll be right here. It's a lot. So, a lot of the story is based around, like, found family, like, that whole blood isn't the only thing that makes you family kind of deal. Because Spade, Ockley, Shin, I think is how it was pronounced. My friend named one of the characters, and I cannot remember how she said to pronounce it. I need to learn how to pronounce my own character's name. That's a problem. But all of those are adopted children. Kura technically is also adopted into this little family group, though she has a more happy family when they were alive. But it's a lot around the found family sort of thing. So let's get on to more interesting, instead of me rambling about just Ockley. So we know Ockley has the empathy ability where you just feel everything all the time, overwhelmed. And then we have Kura, whose ability is a little harder for me to explain outright. So she has the ability to manifest dark matter over her hands into sort of dark dragon-like claws, I guess, hands and feet. And most of the ways that she looks has a purpose. For instance, she has a tail because when she does her feet, she's kind of off balance because it looks like a dragon foot, so she uses the tail to balance, that kind of stuff. I'll put a picture of Kura here as well, if I have one. I don't have a lot of good pictures of her, so we'll see. She is kind of that sort of bad guy, good guy gone bad, gone good kind of thing. But it's a whole process. It's a whole process. The whole first book is Ockley trying to make her be a good guy, for one. And then we have Calypso. She is the mother. She is my, she doesn't have a good picture yet. I have to redraw her. I drew her when I was in high school in senior year because my teacher, for some reason, had us draw a superhero of ourselves. So I ended up drawing Calypso, and she kind of manifested and changed into her own thing. She is the mother of the group. She is Ockley and Shin's adopted mother. Her whole thing was she wanted to be a mother when she was a kid. She wanted to grow up and become a mother, but she didn't really want to deal with all the processes. She just wanted to be a mother on her own. So when she reached a certain age, when she was old enough, she adopted Ockley, she adopted Shin, and later she just sort of went like, okay, Kura, you're my kid now too, come here. So, there's a lot of themes with adopted mothers in this, like, let's not go into that, we're gonna start rambling again. Anyway, Calypso's ability is pretty much fire manifestation, the classic old fire kind of ability. She can cast fire, turn it into different shapes. She prefers to just use animals because she thinks it's cool. She just likes it more. Plus, if you use an animal and use it to comfort a kid or something, it makes them calm down a lot faster, in her opinion. So, anyway, moving on to the next character, we have Spade. I'm going to put a picture here. This is probably not the final picture because I have a friend currently drawing a better picture of them, a reference and everything, and it's going to look so freaking cool, but picture for right now. Spade is my you can probably say that they are my favorite character because they're the one I put the most work in. Originally, they weren't going to be in this story. Originally, I just made them just because I saw a cool picture. I'm like, ooh, that's cool. Let's make a character based off of that. And so I made Spade. They are the chaotic, punk, silly, goofy dude person that just kind of does whatever the heck they want. They're the stereotypical punk. Well, I don't really say stereotypical. I would call them chaotic good because they are very much chaos. They just, but they don't want to hurt anybody with the chaos. Well, they have a certain few people they want to hurt with the chaos. A lot of they have updated over time. They've changed over time. Now they're very much a sort of, I'd say kind of like Hobie Brown sort of inspired kind of thing. I don't think that's the best reference to go off of, but it's the best I have at the moment. Their ability is, I do keep saying they and them because I feel like this is important to mention. Spade is a non-binary person. Just getting that out of the way. Their ability is, I call it smoke and shadow, but they don't actually control smoke, more like gases and fumes kind of thing, like poison gas. Sorry, I'm fidgeting with something. I shouldn't be fidgeting with something right in front of the mic. Okay. They can control shadows and they can control gases. That's essentially what their ability is. A lot of the times they'll just use it to sink into the shadows and sneak across, or they'll use the shadows. They mainly use the shadows to manifest into a different shape and use it to like grab someone or turn into a giant funny hammer because they think it's hilarious to smack a villain in the face with a giant Looney Tunes hammer kind of thing. Their whole personality literally revolves around just doing things the funny way and the chaotic way. They are the kind of person that goes to protests, that does not like to be around like cops and stuff, which is funny given who their mother is, which we'll get into, and other such things like that. I'll probably have separate videos for each character so I can ramble on about each one and have like an actual set thing. Right now we're just kind of getting the gist of what this story is because I'll probably make more videos on this specific story later on. Next character. These next characters I probably don't have an actual picture for. I kind of made a mock-up of them, but they're not. So the next character I'm going to talk about, let me pull them up on here so I have everything proper, is Nessie. So, it's hard to explain this. Nessie's whole thing is, she is a doll. Well, she is a human soul put into a doll by a person that had the ability to take a human soul and put it into a doll, which was her father. Fun. So she kind of makes little tiny puppets, little puppet things of herself. She can just kind of make them. She normally needs a thing to make it with, like maybe some clay or some mud or something to make into a version of her. And then she can control it, send it around. She's mostly used for like spy missions and stuff like that. But she had this ability before she became a puppet, sort of porcelain doll puppet thing. It just kind of transferred over with her soul. So, I can't say too much about that without spoiling some stuff, so I'm not going to go too far into it. Her character still needs to be worked on, but she doesn't show up later on, so that's why I've been mainly focusing on the main three, or main four, which is Kura, Akli, Calypso, Spade. Those are the main ones that show up. So she'll be worked on later on, of course. Next character I'm going to bring up, I've already talked about Calypso. I'm going to talk about Spade's mother, which is Cynthia. So, Cynthia didn't originally intend to adopt a child. She didn't intend to have children, but she kind of just came across this little gremlin that needed help, and she's just like, alright, cool, like, I guess you're mine now, let's go. The irony in why in Spade hating cops and her being their mother, Cynthia is the chief of police. Fun! She doesn't have any actual abilities. Her well, she technically has one. It's mainly just enhanced perception. She just notices things very easy, much more easier than any other person. That's what it is. That's all it is. She doesn't consider it anything great and big, but she's good at her job. I can't say much about her without spoiling a bit of Spade's backstory or a bit of the story in general. All I know is if I write it correctly, Spade's backstory is probably gonna hurt a lot of people. Anyway, let's go. Okay, next character we're gonna talk about is Ockley's adopted brother, which is Shin. Again, I need to learn how to pronounce their names. I'm so sorry if I am pronouncing them completely incorrectly. Please forgive me. Now, Shin is... I don't believe I gave him a power. I don't think he has a power. I think he's just incredibly smart. He is a boy that very much hyperfixates on machinery and inventing things. He likes to invent a lot of things. The mask that Ockley wears was made by him. It is a mask that changes depending on Ockley's emotion, so it'll smile if he's happy, frown if he's sad, kind of make a scowling look if he's angry. He makes a lot of the technology that a lot of them use. So if they have like a fancy car or something, he's probably the one that made it. A weird little dragon robot might pop up at some point. He's the one who made it. So he is also a disabled character as well, which ties into the story a little bit. He is both deaf and in a wheelchair. He's not completely unable to walk, but it's a lot easier for him to stay in the wheelchair, so he normally does. He also has his little doggy. He has a little dog. It's not a pet, it's a service dog who stays with him and makes sure that what happened to him to cause him to be in the wheelchair does not happen again. Because since he is deaf, he does have a little bit difficulty hearing what the heck's going around, you know. So, that's Shin, who also needs a bit more fleshing out, but we're working on him. So we have two more characters that are more background characters. They're characters that I made and then just put in here because I figured I need a few more background characters. So there's Loki. He's just another hero dude that shows up every once in a while. His power, I call it Frostfire. It's fire that freezes instead of burns. And then Xeon, who is his boyfriend, who's a little bit more important. He shows up to... His ability is reconstruction. So he can both heal, and he can repair buildings and damage caused by the heroes. So he is caught in a lot, and he is exhausted. It takes a lot of his energy, so he can only do it for a little bit before having to take a rest, having to eat, having to do all that, and then he has to come back and complete it. He can complete a whole building in about 4 hours, and then take a rest, come back, complete the rest. It takes more energy to heal a living thing though, because a living thing is very different from an inanimate object, no matter how big that inanimate object is. So it's harder for him to heal, so it takes him like a whole day to recover, a whole day or two to recover from healing an actual person. Sorry I'm moving around a lot. I'm very fidgety. I can't sit still. I try, but I can't do it. So I'm just gonna keep moving anyway. But yeah, Xeon is pretty cool. I have to work on his character a little bit more, but he's kind of this more serious dude. But he's very expressive, but he tries to be serious, so no one really takes him serious, so he kind of hates it. But yeah, there's that. And then moving on to one of the other last characters, which is Deathwish. That's all you get. You're getting her name. That's it. Because if I say anything else about her, spoilers all around. So, here was my little rambly video. Of course, there are a few other characters. We have the characters that are Kura's parents, Spade's parents, which come into play at later points, both of which are no longer alive. Spade's brother, other stuff like that. But, as of the moment, this is what I have. There is also a few other things that I'm working on, which are different cultures, which all of this can be done on Loreforge, which is really freaking cool. Again, I'm not sponsored, but this is so cool. You can set up their relations, which, like I said, if I can take a picture of this, I'll probably put it up in one point of the video. And then another thing that I have to work on is the locations. I have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 6 different places that I'm gonna make, because this doesn't happen on Earth. Because every time I tried to make it work on Earth, I couldn't figure it out. So, But I have 6 different places. Each place is based on a different country in America, so it's still gonna kind of tie back. We have the American region, the Japanese region, Norwegian region, the Filipino region, mainly because my friend kind of helped me make Kura, so I'm doing that to dedicate to her because she is Filipino. The Russian region, which is where Spade is from, and the Swedish region. Nessie is from the Norwegian region. I believe I'm making Calypso and Shin from the Japanese region. Kura from the Filipino one. And then America is kind of the, because I am American, I am putting that as the main location. Because I'm American, I know the most about America. Don't bite me. But yeah, those are, I'm working on those. The American region also is where Ockley and Zeon both came from, for the most part. So, yeah. Those are all going to be figured out at some point. It's going to take me a lot of work. So far, I have, let me see, 2.5 chapters done. So, it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a while before I can even get this out. But I will come back every once in a while, talk about the characters, answer questions if anyone has any questions, and talk about the story, talk about ideas I have, random stuff that I plan to do, all that kind of stuff. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed learning about these characters and this story. I love talking about my characters and stories, if you couldn't tell from the fact that this is a 22-minute video. Oh my gosh, it's way too long. Anyway, I have other stories to talk about. Not a lot of them have names. I have a story about werewolf triplets, a story I just called Unnatural, and then Ghost Big Bro, which is more gonna be a short story, sort of single book kind of thing, which is pretty interesting. So I might talk about those. I'm probably gonna do a video on each of them, and then later on go back and elaborate on each of them. That way I can just get them out there so people can ask questions and see if they're interested. Okay, I think that's all for this video. Like I said, if you have any questions, if you're curious about anything, go ahead and let me know. If you're curious about like pictures for this kind of stuff, where I upload all this, like all my art and everything, you can check out Bunny Arts on Instagram. I'm still keeping that name there because it's been my name there for a while and I have a lot more followers there. But that's where you can check out for my art and everything. And yeah, I believe that's it. Alright, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!